Would you like to talk about your past extracurriculars and what do you recommend doing and like stuff
Yeah,
like
I would love to. So I'll start with the green team because you noticed that.
that?
So my friend Alvin Igna and I, when we were both at IVC, so by the way, we were in the honors program, which helped us kind of like make friends
Oh.
in the honors program, but I don't think it's necessary to be in the honors program to have an impact.
Mhm.
Um, but what we did is we noticed uh, that IVC didn't recycle pretty
Oh.
much. Like there was nothing.
Uh-huh.
Um, and you would expect more from like something in Irvine, like quite a progressive city in terms of like the type of operations they do for the environment. Um, we got in touch with some professors. We just asked around until somebody told us, oh, there's a big, like, you know, those big bin containers on the outskirts of campus that they put storage into? Like those just big metal storage containers on the field.
I think I might have seen them, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe they're not there anymore, but they're just these like standard huge storage containers. And someone pointed out that there are old like bins, like trash bins in there that you can reuse if you want to. So that we got the key and we pulled them out and spread them around campus. Um, and then every Friday we would put on gloves and sort them because
Oh,
we labeled it as recycling. So we put on gloves and sorted them so we could get like the recyclable items out of the trash that was mistakenly put in there, and then like drove it to a recycling center and did that. So um, I, as far as we know, IVC didn't really have any like school-wide recycling before then. And we just continued doing this like Friday after Friday after Friday. And the way we kept it fun is like we were just friends. So we like enjoyed the quality time together and it was kind of like an adventure. And then we basically like put that into the like club that it is now, which is the IVC Green Team, to see if we could get people to help us. We didn't really have a lot of people to help us. It was just like us two, and maybe like one person would join us sometimes. Um, but we called it a club, and it became like um, took the club
yeah.
place or whatever. Like, and when it was time for us to transfer, we wrote some letters like to some folks in admin who we felt like would have a good influence on this, and just told them like, here's what we've been doing, here's the results. And we think it'd be really worthwhile for you to establish this as like an administrative program. And since we left, it has been. So now IVC has those like legit recycling bins. I like to think it was because of us, but we don't take full credit. It's just like, I'm sure we were part of the momentum that got the administration there. So that's probably one of the things I'm like most proud of at IVC, because it was not necessarily academic, but I use that now in interviews, even in my interview to apply for Facebook and everything, to demonstrate like that I've taken initiative before. So through the honors program, they do a lot of communication about this. At least back then, I think they do now still, about like research conferences. Um, and I wanted to do them because I thought like I love the act of researching stuff and learning, and I was curious and I had no idea what my major would be. So I thought it was a good opportunity to learn what what I could do. So I did three research things through my span at IVC. The first one was like they were all kind of like literature research. I didn't have to like pull out any like research rigs or whatever. The first one was around the social impact of hydroelectric dam development in northeastern Brazil. And I found this topic when I was like strolling through the UCI library, the Langston Library at UCI, and I like found a book on it. And then I'm like, okay, well, this looks like a good research topic. No one seems to be talking about it. And the people building these like dams, which are meant to be like good renewable energy, environmental, good for everyone, are actually displacing like thousands of people and like causing slum like overpopulation in the
Oh,
cities of Brazil. And there is research existing out there, but I just did one that focused on one particular dam, like found primary sources on the internet and stuff. Um, and uh, made it like a whole, the messaging was like, you know, if you're going to go into like engineering or something, it's always good to be conscious of like what the impact of your thing has, even if you think it's good on the surface level. that was the first one. And then I did one on a poster, like a research poster
Oh,
presentation
okay.
on the effects. I don't know how I got to this topic, but I like art. So I did the effects of World War II on visual arts in Western Europe. Um, so then I just got to like look at pieces of artwork and try to analyze like how the like mental torment of the war came through in the artwork. Um, so that was cool, like little digression into the art world. And
Mhm.
then the third one I did was came out of a research paper that I wrote during writing 2H, the class 2H,
Oh,
where they have you write a really long research paper anyways. So I turned it into a presentation, and it was on the impact of um, media depictions of technology on the adoption of driverless cars. So like at the time, Tesla was just coming out, like we were just starting to talk about Tesla,
mhm.
like and electric vehicles and autonomous vehicles around that time, like rolling it out to the
Yeah.
public. So I was looking at like different ways that driverless cars had been advertised up until then, and then also like movies and TV shows and like general public conversation about driverless cars that led to like this phenomenon where people didn't actually trust it and still don't. But it's like this pattern of like adopting technology over history that always seems to be repeated. So that was the third one. And yeah, I can't rave more about like the opportunity that those undergrad research conferences give you to just like be curious and explore whatever you think is interesting. Because that's your chance to like rule out what majors you like, what majors you don't like, or like what interests you have as a person outside of academia. It's just like I am interested in this and I am proud of myself for having done that.
Are there some of the things that you wished you did that could have helped you out more in the future?
I feel like a lot of the advice that's given to like students who want to transfer is like you have to start a club, do research, take all the classes, and like be perfect everywhere. Um, that's not easy to do. And I think another like really important thing I realized after transferring to Berkeley is how much it helps when you are in IVC. And I'm not saying this to add another burden, like overhead to all the things you already have to do, but uh, learning what works for you to take care of your mental health is really important. Because it's one thing to be at IVC, you have enough stressors going on already with like wanting to transfer and whatever else you have going on. But then if you take yourself to a 4 year and suddenly you're surrounded by like kind of a much more competitive environment, it's much easier to compare yourself with students who did their freshman and sophomore years at that school and maybe accustomed already to the environment and everything. Um, and you're still going to have struggles with some adjustment period, especially if you're doing some like going to a school that requires you to move to another place. Um, so my advice to my past self would be don't feel ashamed to set up like practices or routines or something that fuel you and like reset you mentally. For me, it was going to the gym every morning. Like
Wow.
I would spend like 2 hours of my day, like, because it would be like driving there, working out, driving back, showering, like ultimately 2 hours a day, which back then I was like 2 hours a day. Like I could spend that doing like 3 units of this class that I have to study for. But it fueled me. Like so then I was able to perform better everywhere else. Um, so yeah, don't feel ashamed to take care of yourself and your body because you only have one. You only have one brain. And building that sort of like habit right now will help you really adjust a lot better to university and to your career.
Which schools did you apply and like what were the results? And why you chose UC Berkeley?
Good question. I applied to UCI, UC San Diego, UCLA, and Berkeley. And I think that's it. Um, because I wanted to be near a coast. I got into all of them.
Oh, wow.
It was like such a nice season of my life to be getting those. For UCI, I got in with some scholarship, which I didn't take. And I always think about like, what if I did take that and then I would get better grades at UCI, I think, because Berkeley is, they kind of curve your grades down.
Oh, yeah.
But it's okay. So yeah, I got into all of them. Ultimately, I grew up in Irvine, basically. So the main part of my decision was I want to experience living somewhere else.
Mhm.
So that ruled out UCI. It kind of ruled out San Diego because I felt like it was a similar thing. So I ruled out San Diego. And then it was between UCLA and Berkeley, which I loved both schools so much. And if I got in high school, I probably would have picked UCLA just because I love LA.
Mhm.
But I also just ultimately decided UC Berkeley was probably better for my major, applied math.
Yeah.
They had the applied math track, which means you could choose your electives and do something really custom and cool. And I love that. And then it was like the furthest away. So that's how I picked